we messed up when we had the chance, but here we are. Sammy, how you doing?
Good, Borny. It feels like it's been like 4 hours since I've talked to you, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. So the Leafs, they lose in overtime, 3-2. Yegor Sharangovich, is that who it was who got the winner? Yeah. Should have been a 2 points for the Devils. They got the 2 points. I thought should have been anyway. I don't know, Sammy, do you want to just go ahead and big picture thoughts of that game?
This isn't big picture. This is extremely small picture right off the hop here. Okay. But what is Nylander on at the end of the game? Is that why he didn't start overtime?
Good question. No, the last line out was Engvall, Yarncroc.
Because I'm sorry, that's just bad. It's just bad. Willie Nylander was by far the best player on the Leafs.
Yeah,
he had the boots under him. He was flying the whole night. He scores the tying goal. You see the stats with Marner and Matthews and Rielly on the ice.
Yeah, what are they for people who don't know?
So it was 1-8. They had won one game, and so they'd given up eight goals and scored one goal in overtime with those three on the ice. So they put out which is crazy. Yeah, you're right. They put out two of those guys and decided to put out Tavares, who is slower and probably not quite as good as Austin Matthews. So a baffling decision to me. Yeah. I know it's stupid. It's the pond hockey point, as Kipper calls it. But how in God's name is Willie Nylander not out there to start overtime? He was the best player by far. I'm incensed by that.
I think it does call up like a greater question of, like in a shootout, do you go with the hot hand or the guys who are consistently good? And in 3-on-3, is it like, are you looking at the guys who are playing well or just who are the guys who are generally your best players? I think in 3-on-3, for sure, it's got to be who's going, who's got the pop. And you're right. Nylander was, I agree. I mean, great leg flying. I don't know. Do you want to go to the highlights now on Nylander, or should we just do big picture game first? Let's throw a couple Willie things. The two of us both agreed he was a guy that was standing out. And while we get to that, what'd you think of the turnover from Tavares and OT there? I mean, obviously, you're not going to be like, great, but egregious, terrible, okay?
3-on-3, man, it's just so frustrating because it just happens so fast, right? Like you try to make that's a good skill play that he's trying to make there. He had a guy streaking. He was looking for the 2-on-1. They're leaking out their way. That's what you do in 3-on-3. But it's a tough one. Like he did kind of cough it right up onto Jack Hughes' stick. Like it was not a great pass, but I saw what he was trying to do. It's 3-on-3. It's tough to deal with. It just the only complaint I have about 3-on-3 is that Willie Nylander wasn't there. We don't need to go back on that. But I was just a little bit frustrated by that. What do you want to move on from Willie, or do you want to talk about the Devils? Because I think we got to talk Devils here.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think we got positive Willie stuff before we move too much into those. Yeah, for my 2 cents on the Tavares turnover, I think everyone was just so excited to finally get the puck because I didn't think they thought they were going to get it from New Jersey. Like the Devils are good, and I know you wanted to go there, but like that's a good hockey team that made me feel like the Leafs had to hang on and get lucky to hang with them. They're fast. What do we got here for Willie? Oh, this is the it got tipped, the tying goal right there.
Yeah, it took a weird it hit his stick, then hit his body, then went back towards the outside of the net. Is that what happened?
Well, Siegenthaler rolls his stick over right before Willie shoots. He's actually got it backhand heeled to Willie, and he flips it over and gets the toe right under Willie's shot and tips it up. And Vanacek's moving the other way.
Grapes would not have liked that, blocking a shot with your stick. He's like, you can go anywhere.
Get out of there, kids.
You can go anywhere. And it did go anywhere. It went to the back of the net. So yeah, look at this dog on a bone. He even had a couple checks tonight where I thought were incredibly impressive. We talked about that the other day on the show, like who's the least worst defensive forward, and we all made fun of Willie, saying it was probably him. But tonight,
good shot.
Do you think? I don't know. This maybe is a pie in the sky theory, but I was just blown away by how fast the Devils looked tonight. And do you think that there's anything to the fact that Willie saw that he was one of the only guys on the team that could keep up and he had to skate hard? Because honestly,
I know. I think you're right. I actually texted you in bunk and I was like, the Leafs remind me of, the Devils remind me of the Leafs a few years ago, and I said this on our show today though, but when they were young and they had it was Kapanen and Andreas Janssen and Trevor Moore and they just looked quick, and you didn't trust their decisions or their defense play all the time, but you knew that they were just going to hum. And that's what this Devils team is to me. Although you've got guys like Hischier who are better two-way guys. We still got the good Willie stuff going here, but yeah, I agree. That Hischier, what'd you think of him tonight?
I gotta say, man, I don't think the Devils are a joke. I don't think this is, you don't win 11 in a row by fluke. I guess you're not a bad team if you win 11 games in a row, but man, they are good. They are good. Yeah. I mean, do you, outside of, I guess it would probably be Vegas would be the other team that gave the Leafs as hard of a run, and they also lost an OT to them as well, right? So I don't know if there's been a team that has shut the Leafs down as effectively as the Devils did. There was nothing through the middle of the ice. I don't know what the stats will say, but it felt like the home plate area, the Leafs were not getting home very often.
No, the one thing I thought, like the first 5 minutes, I thought the Leafs had the puck. The Devils didn't get to play for a bit. And that was how Dubas originally constructed this team, was that we're not as worried about our defense because our plan is to play at the other end of the rink. And I thought the Devils, I mean, the shots were in the Leafs' favor in the early going. And I thought that's when things were like, okay, this is how the Leafs can manage the Devils. But as New Jersey got into it and got the puck and Toronto couldn't get it back, you're right. Like there wasn't a whole lot. The one thing that does stand out for me in like the super stat stuff is the Leafs did have more ozone possession time than New Jersey tonight, but expected goals were heavily in New Jersey's favor. So that means the Leafs did their thing where they circle around the outside and have trouble getting in, you know?
So a couple things about the start of the game. It seemed like to me, like almost, like a football drive at the start of a game when they've got like their 6 scheduled plays and they're like, oh my God, this team looks amazing. It feels like to me, Keefe in the room was like, guys, you're going to have to skate. Like skate. Like this team skates. All you're going to have to do is skate the whole game. And that's how you're going to stay in this game. And it really seemed like they were really well prepared for that. And they came shot out of a cannon. They looked faster. They looked stronger. They looked heavier. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, we got to skate like this the whole game to keep up. Like, did it just feel like there was a point where it flipped? Maybe like you said, when they got the puck, but it just felt like they really came out hard. Like they were coached up and ready to handle it. And then they couldn't keep up for the rest of the game. That's
what it was? It was a really good first drive where they get to about the 12 and they can't punch it in. They settle for a field goal. And they go, if you don't make them pay. And that's the thing is the Leafs offense is I don't want to say it's let them down, but you're in these games now. And there used to be this feeling with the Leafs that's like, the one thing I'm not worried about is can they score enough, right? You used to feel that way, that it was like, they're going to get their chances. I know this Leafs team. And right now it's like, not as confident that, like, unless Willie does it, I'm not as confident that the goals are going to come. And we saw tonight, they only get 2. Murray keeps them in it. The fact that like a lucky tip on Willie's shot gets him a point against the number 1 team in the Metro is give Matt Murray some credit. What were your thoughts in his showing?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, but it's nice to have a feeling where you can steal a game. Like they stole a point tonight.
Yeah.
Like they didn't deserve to get a point tonight in this game. I thought that the Leafs were pretty heavily outclassed for a lot of that game. I really thought they didn't have the puck a lot in the high danger areas. I just really thought the Devils were way better. And Murray, although the second goal, was it that went in, or the first one where he kind of did like the karate jump out there, I thought it was a little bit weird. I didn't know about that technique, but I gotta say, he looks like an NHL goalie, and it's nice to feel like you have the potential to steal a game. It's like they don't listen. This is a 4-5-1 game with Källgren in net. Sorry, Källgren. I hate to catch a stray here on poor old Shawley, but
it's like what I do.
He's sitting there. I'm sure he's listening to the Leafs talk in the dressing room.
He is, for sure.
But it really feels like they have the capability to not play their best defensive game and win, and that's what happened tonight. So I thought he was really good. Like there were a couple really big saves at key times, I thought.
Yeah, for sure. There's still moments though. So like you mentioned the first goal where, again, it's a guy taking an uncontested shot off a lateral, pass through the slot. But, there's a play earlier in the period where he gets he makes a glove save, and it was something that you and I talked with Mike McKenna about in preseason, that because Murray gets so wide and low, his hands end up being low. And so he's kind of like, he ends up with this, like if you've ever played shortstop and you get a hot one hopper and you're like kind of jammed up. Yeah, he gets this kind of like stabby, awkward position sometimes. So it happened once in the first, similar motion on the goal against. He did make some great saves. And this highlight pack here shows some of them. The one in particular on Jack Hughes coming across the slot, makes the kind of awkward road hockey save. He played well. Not going to take it from him, but he doesn't make me comfortable.
The one thing that doesn't bring me comfort, Borny, is that I'm holding my breath every time he extends.
That's about injury.
About injury. It's no light way to live your life as a hockey fan when you're afraid that your goalie's going to let in every shot and you're afraid that your goalie's going to get hurt on every shot. Like there's a couple times where who was it that kind of clipped them was it Bastian that clipped them in the crease where he kind of fell back weird and was like, oh God, here we go. Like it's a very uncomfortable feeling. He just kind of looks, he just doesn't look conventional to me. He doesn't look the eye test is not great, but he made some big saves. So
yeah, it does feel like you could go on Twitter right now and find a tweet that's like, when Bastian fell on him, he popped or whatever, and he's unavailable. Like, I don't know, but I think that's perception and whatever. I don't know how much of that is real versus whatever.
Are we sure?
In terms of, good point. In terms of other noteworthy things for me, 38, old Sandin, still coughing the puck up a little bit. I don't know if that's even noteworthy to you or just another wait. Maybe don't worry about that until it changes for the better.
Is there an option to give him a night off?
No.
Like you can't. I know Kipper's always railroading their depth, but like you can't call it. I guess Kroll's hurt and Mette's hurt, so you can't call up either of those guys. But this, like, remember when we were talking about Hall when he was fighting it so bad and he was desperate for a night off and they couldn't give him one? It just feels like it's. Oh boy, that's a great play, and then just followed by an awful play.
I mean, it's how many times has he done that this season? Where it's just like, it's not the right play. And what we talk about on today's show, like he was such a confident guy that to me, just like, it's not a confident play. I know Stewie showed it intermission, one backhand pass, but
there's one along the boards. I don't know if it's going to be in this pack, but with Jack Hughes where he takes the puck off of him and then Jack Hughes steals the boards and then he just shoots it right off his shin pad, ends up in the slot. I think it's coming up here. Maybe this is it right here. Maybe not. Anyways, it's just, he feels like to me, a long chat at the end of practice with Sheldon Keefe. Like they're sitting there on the side of the ice thing. And then it's like, we get the update. Sandin's not playing tomorrow night off. Like he's still young. He's still sort of in the development part of his career, I guess, but they need him to be better than he's been. And they just have no way to give him a night off. And I desperately think he needs it. Like I really do.
Well, yeah, Kroll hurt, Mette hurt, Dahlstrom hurt.
That play exactly right there. He has puck possession, and then he just gives it right back to him. Like, what are you doing? Anyways.
But like, you like some of the stuff, like on that one, he jumps up in the rush after. Like, it's funny because that pack was a really good encapsulation of what Sandin is right now, where good ideas, some of you can see what he's thinking. He jumps in the offense. It's like, yeah, if he puts all that together, it's fine, but he just hasn't so far. Not pretty.
Yeah, he just hasn't. It's just not been sharp. That's the thing to me. And it just continued tonight. Like you're exactly right. You can see the intentions, but the intentions aren't happening. So maybe that's like, it's like me. I intended to have Gretzky on the show tomorrow, Borny, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll make do. I'm just going through some of the guys who caught our eye, and I don't want to come on here and be like, crap on the Leafs or anything, but like in terms of analysis for like positive guys, we said Willie was really good. Murray had some good moments. I thought sometimes the fourth line looked pretty good. The next guy though came up in our text chain was just like Morgan Rielly frustrating us. Mm-hmm. And I'll take the lead on that and just saying my criticism and your criticism has been that for a guy who's good offensively and gets points, it's amazing how often he gets the puck at the point and then just double clutches. Like he just needs to make a decision, eh?
Yes. And I don't know if that's something that can change. Like, has it always been this bad? Is this a confidence thing? He hasn't scored yet.
I think it's like now we're looking for it. Confirmation bias. It's like we're looking for it.
Well, he hasn't scored yet this year, which is unlike him. He usually gets a few. Like he's usually up in the 10 range, 7 to 10 range. I think he scored 20. How the hell did that happen, Bourne? He scored 20 goals that year. It's hard to fathom how that happened. But it really feels amplified right now. And there was a stretch before he signed the contract last year where he was really not good. And then it felt like the contract went to his legs and he had a really good close to the year last year. But I feel like this has been more of what we saw pre-contract, which is not necessarily what you want to see. I don't want to come on here and talk big picture about contract because it's a Leafs post-game show, but every game I'm like, oh boy, how many more years on that? Like I'd say that if there is a sneaky thing that keeps Kyle Dubas up at night, and there's probably a lot of things that keep Kyle Dubas up at night, quite honestly.
I'm guessing, yeah.
I can't imagine he has the best night's sleep, Spud, but I think the contract that he gave to Morgan Rielly is probably one of the things that he thinks about quite a lot because he hasn't been good this year. It is. It's the length of it.
Yeah, it's the length of it, and like if you can't use him on power play one, like if you decide that someone else is better at that, which you likely will over 8 years, then you got $7.5 million for a guy who's PP2, and like I think the difference is when he's good and when he's bad. So last game or the game before, he's on the power play and he gives it back to Rielly, a one touch. He one touches it to Nylander, and Nylander has an open net to shoot it at. Tonight he gets that one on the blue. Hangs on for a second. I showed you guys the clip. I don't think we have that one here, but one of those things where he just do it. Whatever your decision is, just do it.
So I want to ask you as a former video coach and hockey player who played at high levels of hockey, unlike beer league like me, what'd you make of them throwing Mitch Marner on defense with 6 minutes left in the game, going to try to find a goal? It's like keeps going to total hockey here, total football, no positionless. Like I don't know what the hell that was about. And then he promptly gets walked in the nastiest way possible by Hischier. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Thanking Matt Murray that is not on highlight reels for the next 10 years of his career. But here's the thing. I like it. I like Sheldon Keefe doing that because you're trailing 2-1. You're the guy who says we need to open up the game. And prior to that Mitch Marner getting roasted by Hischier moment, he takes the puck from behind the net, skates it up the rink, headmans the puck, gets it back, one times it on net. There's a rebound there for Bunting. Like he created something the second he was out there. And then it goes back the other way. And it's like, but that's the trade you've agreed to. You're like, I accept that we may get cooked because we need to go the other way. So I like it.
So yeah, you nailed it. So you put Marner out there for his his first or second shift ever on defense, and he's almost a victim of one of the nastiest one-on-one dangles, posterizations of ever. Inside toe drag. How you doing? God, I wish I had asked this for that pack because I'm a fan of a toe drag. I love a good toe drag, and that was one of the tighter ones I've seen in a while.
If you could, if you're Mitch, you're like, if you're going to do this, Kiefer, like you want to play some D, roll me out against Columbus when we're down one. Roll me out against, I don't think the Devils who are leading the NHL and creating offense right now coming down hot. And you can see the difference between a forward and a D-man, the way they play it. Because he's like, I don't want to get burned wide. So his gap's so bad. He's so deep. Yeah. So quick story on that. In university, we were playing Minnesota Duluth, and I was going to be the point man on the power play. This is like my evolution as the forward offensive guy. And they're like, all right, you're the point man. Minnesota Duluth had players, and Mason Raymond was a penalty killer. And I shot a puck into Mason Raymond's shin pads while being the last man back. And I don't think I could have read his name bar by the time he was in on a breakaway going the other way. So far, it was like, so distance that Raymond, like it's just so hard to play when you're forward. I had no sense of like when to back off, when to take the risk to shoot it through. Like it's hard. So it is a big ask, but I like the idea when you're down a goal and chasing it a bit.
Yeah, was Mason Raymond fast? I can't remember. Oh yeah, he was like the fastest guy in the league for that was like the one thing he could do was absolutely fly and kill
Burner. I didn't have a chance and I hit him in the shin pads. Way to go, Bourne.
So sorry, I can see, because we talked about that stat on our show today about their historic shot differential. And I think what did they end up with? Probably just over 30. Leafs were just under 20. But for worse defensive teams, I can definitely see how that number gets stretched out because boy, they defend the middle of the ice so well, and they're just gone. All their forwards are big and they fly, like their bottom half of their lineup's big and they fly, and then the top half is all these small guys that fly. Like I don't know. It's hard to sit here in November and say like they're a legit cup contender, but like they have all the makings of a team that could go deep in the playoffs. Like I really do think that they are a threat in the East.
It does remind me though of those Leafs teams because I look at that decor and I'm like, fine, I'll just say the words. Like it's like they're too soft to play in the playoffs because they have guys who are super good, and it's like Damon Severson is really, really good. He's not playoff type of guy as Dougie Hamilton is. I just going through their decor. I remember thinking like, I like them. I just don't know if they're built for that type of hockey. But then again, we're talking about the Maple Leafs for a living, and I don't know. Like the Leafs to me look like a between better than middle of the pack hockey team. They're in that upper 8 teams, but in the bottom end of it right now, like there's something missing still for them to be considered. If you run off potential cup candidates and you get at least a handful of teams before you think about Toronto.
100%. And I don't know if from what I've seen so far this year, how many teams I would get past before I went to the Devils. Like Vegas for sure, Bruins for sure. And like they're in that conversation. So we don't need to go.
You're like Colorado, Jersey.
Yeah. But I'm not, same thing. Basically the same team,
Interchangeable teams, really.
So anything else, Bourne, or should we get to some housekeeping?
Housekeep it up, buddy. I think that's it.
So tomorrow we are doing Real Kipper and Bourne with JD Bunkus, the other participant of Leafs Talk, host of the JD Bunkus podcast. He's doing 4 hours radio with us tomorrow. That's nice of him. 2 a.m, 2 p.m. Really appreciate it. So we're going to do a big time mailbag. So we're going to do lots of questions from the viewers, all of our respective shows. And if you want to guarantee your question getting read, and you got to keep it nice. Okay. Don't just like make fun of us in the guaranteed slot, but go to iTunes and comment, give us 5 stars and go there and write a comment of a question that you want read on Real Kipper and Bourne tomorrow, and it will be done. So make sure you do that. Go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, Leafs Talk, comment, give it 5 stars because of how wonderful a show this is. And we'll read it tomorrow on Real Kipper and Bourne. Was that good housekeeping?
That was great. That was fantastic produced, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Really appreciate you joining us. We'll be back. Who is it on Saturday night? You and Bunk?
Me and Bunk to play they're playing the Sabres, who are going in the opposite direction. So the Leafs just played a team that with won 10 in a row, and then they got a team coming in that has lost 7 in a row. So we'll see how that goes.
For sure. All right, guys. This has been Leafs Talk. Thanks a lot.